We're back a few days later. Everything has been hooked up. So let's take a look at the mess and then we'll talk about this. Oh, Bafangulas Italiano. They're fucking you. Oh, they're brothers. Isn't that cute? So, why did you have to do that? Instead of wiring off of these like I told you.
I don't know.
You don't know.
There's 3 ways of doing things. I told you yesterday.
He cut through the beam like you wanted him to.
There's 3 ways of doing things. There's the brand new way, plumbing, underwriters, someone comes in and has to inspect it. So that check that off the list. There's hiring a plumber, paying them cash, and they have to consciously do it right. Just like building a shed, just like wiring up hi-hats. You have to consciously say, well listen, air before waste, traps, ... And then there's the 3rd way, where you don't call anybody, you get as much stuff as you want from Home Depot or Lowe's, and you cross your fingers. And then the worst case scenario is the plumber comes in and says, yeah, why'd you do it that way? So this is choice 2. Choice 2 is...
I see what he did. It's not bad.
It's
better than we could have done, certainly.
It's the plumber's correct way.
Right. This isn't bad how he did it. This is good. I like that. Your backflow is still there, so that's good.
He wanted to give me his backflow, so I said no. He says, well then I'll save you $30 and you're responsible for yours.
Right.
When my backflow, if something happens, I'm responsible for changing it out. I said there's nothing wrong with that. I cleaned it thoroughly with hot water and soap.
And it was brand new. How long ago did it go in? It's not even old.
So I said save you $30.
Right. That's fine. That's all good.
Now,
all right.
I told
so
you
now,
I had something to tell you.
Right.
Are you happy with the plastic and the copper work from a plumber's perspective through a homeowner? If you paid for this and you watched him do it, or you had to work and come home, this setup, this flat wall, is this acceptable?
I'm going to stop the camera and scrutinize it, and then I'll come back and tell you. So I went over this, and all I really found that I didn't like per se was that these air vent inlets, or whatever you want to call them, are a little bit that way. Both of them are. But it's barely noticeable. The plastic is all good. I like all that. But I'm saying something isn't right here. This was put in by a plumber. You see how the solder is. Up here were other joints by the plumber, and that as well. Everything's nice. And I noticed there was a lot of solder over here, and I didn't quite care for that. It looked messy compared, and I'm like, I don't know if this guy, whatever. And what happened?
I did the copper.
Why didn't you call me after the Mexico game?
What's your name? Turn around. What's your fucking name? Why didn't you call me after the Mexico game?
Today is Sunday, June 28th, 2020. I called Pete, which if you've been watching Jay's channel, was at my mother's house installing a sink.
The oil spill house, installing the sink in the basement. That guy was pretty cool. Yeah, I'll put a link in
here.
there.
He's the plumber. He's the guy. He might be expensive, but 6 to 1/2 the other. 6 to 1/2 the other. Whether you're spending money on him, whether you're spending money on a material, then if you call him back because you messed up, then they get really expensive because now it becomes a fix. So let's just say this is $1,000, which it wasn't, but then you fucked up. Now it's 12 because he's got it. Blah, blah, blah.
Cue the SpongeBob 3 hours later.
3 hours later.
So I woke up, I believe, today was yesterday was Saturday, definitely not Friday. Thursday, Wednesday night, I said, I could do this. I could do the copper. I did the main shutoff valve.
Yes, let's go take a look at that. Yeah, Joe and I did this. There was a video on this.
I should have had Chooch by now.
I would think. So I'll put a link in the prescription of that.
And the reason we did the top is because there was a filter in the house, which we disassembled.
Yes, there was originally.
I don't know if that made it to the camera, but we disassembled the filter. And I actually put that valve because the valves below are a little wonky.
Right, being original
right,
from
that doesn't close all the
1950s.
way.
This is broken over here.
Right, it kind of
you
just
know.
barely works.
Yeah,
So-
so a little loose, whatever. And that I had a problem with. Ooh, that you could probably no, maybe it is tight.
don't touch
It's tight and
this.
rusty. I'm just playing
Okay.
with it.
No, I'm just saying I would never even touch that.
Yeah,
That's another thing for.
yeah. This is definitely the valve to use if you needed to shut the water, and obviously you did.
And we added a collar up top. And obviously the sprinkler guys added their version because that's only 2 years old, and this is definitely more than 2 years old. So
Right.
they found the position where the cut would have came down a little bit longer, but anyway. So I said to myself, what's the worst that could happen? So I have him coming Saturday. I called his cell phone and booked a Saturday afternoon. So he's coming no matter what. He's going to do the whole thing for a price, or he's going to do one, or he's going to get made, whatever. So worst case scenario is there's no more laundry. It's a laundry. It's not a dishwasher, sink, or a shower. I have shut-off valves. So
right,
if I
they're up
absolutely
here from
mess
the
it up,
original.
if it's messed up, it's shut off until the plumber comes. So I basically tossed and turned Wednesday night into Thursday, because that's what happens with me. And I woke up Thursday, and I had breakfast, and I sat down, and I said, what do I have? Went to my plumbing bin, laid out drop cloth, laid out a piece of wood. This obviously was not here. This was moved. And I said, okay, I need a T, an elbow. I need things. I went to Ace Hardware, because it's closer. And by the way, Ace is 60 cents more expensive than Home Depot. But if you figure the 60 cents you're wasting and saving on gas.
Right.
And I sat here on top of the milk crate, on top of the washing machine, on top of the wood, so I wouldn't fuck it.
Yeah, he put wood on top
Yeah.
of this like a plank.
Off camera, because if I just let that chooch, it would have been 20 hours.
Right, no,
And-
nothing new
and I
there.
basically got into it. I messed up, and I was alone. No music, no wife, no child. I messed up. So what you see is what I visually wanted to do. I didn't know how high or low I wanted to go. The higher you go, the more copper you need, because the lower you go, I didn't know. So I picked a happy medium. Fast forward to when the plumber was here, he always says you do drains first, because hot and cold could be moved and bended and flexed. The drain is actually code. You're supposed to be 18 inches higher than the lowest point for maximum drainage. Again, New York State plumbing code. That doesn't mean that if we lop this off, it won't work. But the lower you go, the more you have the drain. Something with the trap doesn't have the ability to like come back. Anyway, so I basically did this. I basically started out with my tools. I cut where I wanted to cut. I did one pipe at a time. That's why there's a collar here, because I cut this. I did the holes first, and then I cleaned the holes, and then I put the copper through, and then I made it longer because you don't know where the elbows are going to be, and then I cut this first, and I brought this piece to here. I said, oh no, that's the hot. Because if I did it the wrong way, this would have been, it would have not looked like this.
Right.
So I said, damn it. And I'm like, oh, geez. I say, well, this is why plumbers are plumbers, and just like electrical wire or wood, you always have extra. So I ended up doing the cold first, which was the top piece, and then basically cutting it 2 times, because obviously if you look in the middle, there's a 1/2 inch gap for the water.
Right.
So you need to cut like 2 little, like a nipple. And I said, wait, this comes off. So these 2 screws undo. There's 2 rubber small grommets. This piece comes off, the hose stayed, and behind it is a threaded shaft and just like a flat washer from the factory. Then these 2 screws come out and these solder joints don't get touched. So I swapped this to save on 2 collars. So this is actually the hot and this is the cold. But normally you would never know because inside the pipe doesn't mean nothing. Flow is flow.
Right.
So the collar was on the left and I saved on the right because I cut the right piece the right way but the left piece the right way.
Okay.
So I basically dry fit everything with flux because it's lubricating. I went through and I got to this point. I stopped, made sure I mounted this, stopped here, went back, took it all apart, again, while sitting here, using the shelf, flux, torch, solder, and you just methodically do top to bottom. I had wet rags, I had regular rags, you know, because listen, I was sloppy. It dripped down, it dripped on my leg, it hit the wet rag and went through the rag and you still get burned. But no one bothered me, no one was here. And other than the outcome, he added the 2 straps for me. I added this last night because this was wonky. I did not try putting it behind, but I guess I kind of like it straight on the beam. I'm going to leave everything for now.